So I got asked recently, which is better, businesses or real estate? We actually do both, but I'm going to dip into the pros and cons of each here for a little bit. I'm not going to go into detail, but I will give you the overall picture in my opinion. Real estate, let's take rental properties for example. Rental properties can generate money for you. I know people that make a lot of money in the rental properties. I do know headaches with the rental properties. My parents own like 5 different rental properties. They're always, not always, but I mean, they do have to find new tenants from time to time. And sometimes the tenants will skip out in the middle of the night and trash the place and wreck everything. Or they just don't pay my parents. So you're chasing your money, which you never get. So there's a lot of things that go wrong. Especially if you furnish the place for them or you furnish some of the appliances. When things go wrong, you're responsible to come in there and take care of them. So there's a lot of things that go on with the rental things. There's a lot of headaches with those rental properties. When people are late on their rent, you always got to give them an extra few days or maybe an extra couple of weeks or maybe you got to skip a month. There's all kinds of things that come up. People lose their jobs, whatever the case may be. But their problem soon becomes your problem because you're the landlord and they can't pay you, right? So, and it's up to you if you want to, keep trying to work with them. And there's laws that seem to protect the renters more so than they do the actual homeowner. And you guys leave me comments down below on your stories or what your thoughts are on this because I really want to hear and what you guys think about this. I'm going to give you an example of a different type of property. So an investment property. So we purchased a lake property and we put a house on it and made it really nice, real beautiful and all that. And we got a good deal on it when we bought it, which is why we bought it. And when we bought the property, it was, I don't even remember, I think it was $100,000 to buy the property. And I talked to a realtor 1 year later on the property and without even doing much to the property at all, the retail value was almost $200,000 on the property. Now, that's because everything has gone through the roof right now. Everybody is panicking, like 2024. Everybody was coming from the big cities. By me, they're coming from Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, and they're coming up buying every piece of ground they can get because they want to get out of the cities because of all the crazy woke shit that's going on there, right? So that drove the prices through the roof. So right now, it looks like a good investment. But I'll tell you, even then, then we put the house on and all that. But if you think about it from the perspective of, let's say you buy that land on the lake, and every year, say your taxes are $2,000 a year. And you might say, hey, George, in 10 years, your property will be worth, $1 million or something like that. But in 10 years, you're still paying all those taxes, and even then, it's depending on the market. Is it going to be worth that? Because I lived in a time where I saw this. I saw the market go up and up and up and up, and all of a sudden, 2008, everything crashed. And the prices fell out. People were selling their homes left and right because they couldn't afford to live in them. So I've seen that too. So don't think that can't happen because it can happen at any time, So anyway, there's high upfront costs associated with these purchases, right? So if you go to buy that lake lot, like we had to come up with $100,000 to buy that lot, okay? And you just got to have that money. So that $100,000 is money I could have maybe invested in my business, but I didn't because we wanted to diversify a little bit, buy some properties, and then also have our businesses and that type of stuff. So it's more of a slow asset, I think, in real estate. I'm going to give you an example of our house in our homestead area. I mean, that's gone up in value quite a bit. And I think when we first purchased it, it was 6 acres of land and it was like $55,000. But we've done some improvements and, to the house and everything else, buildings and all that kind of stuff. But now it's a $500,000 property. So that was a good investment for us, but we poured a lot of money into that too. Again, I go back to the high upfront costs of these things. So you have to manage these properties, especially even if it's like the lake house. I still have to see to it that the lawn is cut every week. I still have to see to it that all the sticks are picked up off the lawn. I still have to see to it it's sprayed for weeds. That there's any damage from storms. I mean, I have to make sure that it's winterized every year. I have to come back in the spring. I got to open it up because we live in a snow belt country, and in the winters everything freezes. So you got to go in there and winterize your property, because you're not going to be back there until spring. So there's expenses that go along with the maintenance. Now, rental properties, same thing. You have everything. Maybe the tenant's responsible to mow the grass, keep the weeds out of the beds, like my parents' houses. The tenants are supposed to do that. Half the time they don't cut the grass. We have to go in there and do that. Half the time they let all the weeds in the beds just, the shrub beds around the house, they let those just go to hell. We have to come in there, clean them out, keep them sprayed, all of that. Sometimes you get these bad renters and they just don't give a shit, So that's why I don't like the rental game. There's too many headaches that go along with that game. So, and you still have the taxes on that property too. So yeah, maybe you can make $1,000 a month rent on that property. So in a year, if you kept it rented the entire year, so there's an if, they didn't lose their job or they didn't sneak out on you, so on and so forth. So that's $12,000. Maybe you paid $2,000 in taxes on that. Now you're down to $10,000. Now what about it needs a new furnace, or needs a new water heater, or needs this, or needs that, a new roof, you name it. Just keeps adding up and piling on. So there's a lot of things that go along with that. We talked about the taxes. We talked a little bit about finding renters. There's the headache of having to find new renters, and you have to interview them, and you have to check them out, and most of them have bad records, and it's a process to find good renters. It really is. I'll give you an example of like a house that we looked at purchasing. It was in the town of Anigo, our small town, and it was $120,000. And we looked at that house and said, okay, well, we can buy that house. We can come out and buy it, so we wouldn't have a mortgage or anything like that. But we are going to tie up that money. Now, it'll take us about, with the taxes, even if we rented it, if we rented that thing for even like $1,200 a year, I mean, it's still, I think we did the math, it would take us like 8 years or 10 years to pay that house off without any hiccups, okay? And I thought, okay, so if I have $100,000 sitting here, $120,000 sitting here, and I invested in that house, and it's going to take me 10 years to pay that house off, is that a good investment? Could I take that $120,000, stick it into my business, and make 3 times that amount? Most likely, yeah. So, therefore, I shot that one down. We're not going to do that. So, that's the part about the rental thing, and about just properties. Now, let me give you the spin on business. So, business, high potential to make money, but it's also high risk. High risk to lose money. What I mean by that, I mean, if you get into a business, you don't run it right, the economy takes a shit, something happens, maybe your competition kicks your ass, and you don't succeed. Now the money you invested, you lost. So high risk is there all the time in business, all the time. Anything could happen. So here's the other nice part about business, though. The opportunity for scalability. If you get in the right business model, you can scale those businesses like we did with Mosquito Police. We scaled our business from $0 and in 6 years to making over $1 million. And we're going to make more than that this year. I don't know what it's going to be yet. We'll wait and find out. But we've slowly kept building it up, building it up, building it up. Now we're at $1 million a year in revenue, right? And so that is constantly coming in. So now that's an annual thing. Now, if I would have took that same money and invested it in a house, 6 years from now, the house still isn't paid off, and I'm not bringing in $1 million a year like I am in a business. You guys get that? So if I put my money into that house, it took me 10 years to pay that house off. We took the Mosquito Police from 0 to $1 million, and we did that in 6 years. So look at the trade-off. Now I have $1 million investment here. That's besides, that's just the business. That's not even all the vehicles that we have. We have $500,000 in vehicles. So we created a very nice business model for ourselves, and had I kept that money in that house, I would not have been able to do that. So there's the high risk trade-off thing I'm talking about there. Real estate is kind of like a passive investment. I remember when my dad sold the milk cows. He was a dairy farmer. When he sold them, he didn't know what to do, and the government was going to take a big chunk of his money for taxes, capital gains tax, like a third of his money. So he had to do something. So he bought these rental properties. Well, now Dad lives off the money from those rental properties. So that worked out good for him. And he was still able to retire, and there's not a lot of work for him to do. And when he does need help on those properties, he either hires someone to help him or we jump in and help him with him. So that worked out there. That's a long-term, low-risk thing because real estate typically goes up in value, typically. Not always, because there's been those down years, but it typically goes up in value. But it takes time to get there. It's kind of like being in the stock market. You put your money in a 401k or a Roth IRA. It takes time for your money to get there before you get the compounding interest and all of that stuff going on. So when I compare the two, I think to myself, I'm like, higher risk, higher rewards. Give you the meaning of life. I mean, if you think about the amount of time that you're here on earth, and I look at it differently than most people because I've never been afraid of risk, and I love business. I love business. No matter what business I get in, I try and learn everything I can about it. I get all excited about it, and then I get that up and running, and then I move on to the next business, and I work hard at that, learn all I can, and we build that one up, and then we'll move on to the next one. So now we have this one making money for us, that one making money for us, and then you move to the next one making money for you. And before you know it, you're a millionaire, and you're just like, how the hell did I do that? You know? So I look at that, and then I look at real estate. And one of the big things I want to tell you about real estate's a one-time shot. If you took your money, you invested it in real estate, say you sold a lakefront property, and you did really well on it because you only invested $100,000 and 5 years later you sold it for $500,000 or something. Okay, so you made $400,000 on that. Now you're going to get the crap knocked out of you with capital gains tax on that. Now, turn around, look at it from a business point of view. 6 years, build $1 million business over here if everything goes good. And not everything went good. I mean, we always had our hiccups on the road. But I look at the two. Mine, when I sold the property right now, it's a one-time shot. It's a one-time shot to get that money. Now, if you want to do that again, you got to go look for more properties. You and about 10,000 other people are looking for the same property, so the competition is ridiculous. And you have to go and find another property, invest in that, put money into that, let that ride out for 5 or 10 years, and then sell that for a chunk, versus building up a business like the Mosquito Police from zero in 6 years up to $1 million in revenue, and it's reoccurring revenue. It comes in year after year after year. So for me, the bottom line, without a doubt, is business. I would take business all day long. I can't see buying real estate and getting a one-time profit on it. Like a lot of people buy a house, buy it for $50,000, sell it for $100,000. They put $30,000 into it. They made $20,000 and spent all summer fixing it up. I can spend all summer and make $1 million a year doing what I'm doing. And it didn't start that way. It took us 6 years to do that, you know. But I'm just giving you the example of business versus real estate. And I hope this makes sense to you guys. Leave your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on this. I'm sure everyone has a different point of view on it. And if you like risk, go after business. If you don't like risk, play it safe and stay in the real estate game. But I think you'll make more money with a good business model. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Thanks.